So as I said, we have 2 AVTEG members. So it's the whole next 45 minutes, we will take you to a journey in which we'll share some stories, some humor, some case studies, success stories. And to do that, we have, as I said, Shane and Sanjeev from these 2 organizations. Both are AVTEG members. From AVTEG, myself and Arun is here as well. So who we are as an organization, our vision, and we're very proud of our vision, is to be the catalyst in enhancing 100 million lives by 2030. Huge, and that's what vision should be. First, when you think about it, it seems like not achievable, but then when you put your steps together, it may be possible to achieve it. Our purpose, it took us more than 12 months to actually define our purpose, and every presentation I make sure I actually share our purpose. And I definitely spend time on our purpose. Is to provide skills that empower individuals to productively enhance the workplace. Our focus, because we are actually working in developing countries, we're working with the bottom of the pyramid, below poverty line. Very important. And every time I go offshore, I ask the employers, I said, would you please give an extra $10 a month to this person who's actually working carpenter, and it can actually enhance the life of the individual by just giving $10 extra a month. And he said, why would I actually, out of my pocket, give extra $10? So I said, what can actually change your mindset that can actually make you pay extra $10 or $20 a month to this carpenter or plumber or welder, you name it, a retail, a customer service, a hospitality person? What will change your mind? And this is productivity is an issue. And we know in Australia, we do also have the same similar issue in Australia. So productively enhance the workplace is our purpose, while fostering the income growth. So if we actually make graduates, we want to make sure that their income also increase. If they are able to contribute productively at a workplace, we want to make sure their income growth is there. And why do we want to do? What do we see when we do that? We see a shared prosperity in developing countries. And that's our focus. Shared prosperity, we borrowed the term from World Bank, because we were saying before, for the last 6 months, leading to a full life of prosperity. But I think shared prosperity is more measurable, given the global data we have available. Our goals, we have 3 goals, so we can actually measure our mission, as we can measure our vision as well. So first one is enhanced productivity, as we discussed already, increased income growth, and shared prosperity in developing countries. Okay, so the topic for us today is to try to understand how do we actually go to these huge volume countries, large population. Indonesia, my friend Josh should be here, huge, 240 million people. India, over 1 billion people. We hear every single conference that there are millions and millions to be trained offshore. So how do we actually go offshore and we do skills? And I think, and I believe strongly that in Australia we are very well placed to actually go offshore and work offshore. So, as I said, we will look at as a case analysis. I will talk about collaboration briefly. We will have Arun will come and discuss about approach. Shane Anderson will talk about why it is so important to have a shared vision when you connect and collaborate. And Sanjeev will come about and discuss environment. Why it is so important to look at the external, internal, political, the business environment when you go offshore and set up. It's a little bit of humor there. But we have some lessons to learn, from this on collaboration. So what are the lessons from this video that we also see as an organization in the last 2 to 3 years when we actually went on to set up offshore? In the early days, the goal seemed so difficult, like the video, how do you actually go and change the light bulb? It was very difficult, kind of walking alone in the early days. And still, I usually say we are actually muddling through the manageable mess that we have in front of us. And it was really difficult. And most of you, for example, when you go to delegations to China, to India, Indonesia, I've been to recent delegation to Indonesia, it looks huge, and I was confused by the time I was back home. So goal seems really difficult. So you look at collaborations then, and that's what we did. We start looking for connections, connecting up, collaborations. And as you see, we have few AVTEG members who are already working with us, and we said, okay, let's sit down, let's plan. We know it's difficult, but let's do a step-by-step process and reinventing and keep inventing the business model. And why we all do that is also to increase our capacity as well. So one of the advantages when Shane and Sanjeev and other people connected with us was, why are we actually connecting? We asked this question again and again. Why are we actually coming together? And one of the reasons we identified was we can actually increase the capacity. If we are offshore, every day we have a team working on the ground, and you have the increased or shared capabilities. So you have the capabilities. We don't have the capabilities. We don't have 50 years of experience running an RTO in welding, in hospitality, in manufacturing, building, construction. So why we again collaborate is to share capabilities as well. So that's how we actually went on to our journey for collaboration. And most importantly is survival and growth from the video. If you look at the video, it's all about survival, especially for small and medium organizations. I think we live in the world where we see a lot of IPOs and mergers every day. And if we are small, if we are medium, we're not there yet as an IPO, and I'm not talking about whether IPO is a good or bad option to take on, but it's about survival and growth and collaborative growth. So I think I'll leave you there, and I'll ask Arun to come and discuss the approach section of this presentation. Thank you, and I'll come back to thank, and also we will share at last for 5 minutes opportunities in India where you can again connect up and collaborate with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Param. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be amongst all of you. Today, like Param said, our vision and mission is very dear to us. We are not just looking at few numbers, high margins, but we're looking at making difference to people's lives. And how can that happen? Again, there could be economic reasons. If some of you have read C.K. Prahlad and Stuart Hart's book, Fortune at the Bottom of Pyramid, there's a $5 trillion economy which constitutes about 4 billion people who are below the poverty line. Organizations like Unilever, P&G, etc. have already made a significant business by catering to this segment. There are organizations like D-Light, which is a solar lantern, which has successfully made a business model out of catering to this segment. There are people who are providing clean water, education, and all these are very successful business models, but most importantly, they also impact the lives of these people. So this is the Hollywood star who recently left us, and this is one of his famous comments. And what we believe is, it's not just a little madness, but the passion that each one of us had is what is important to transform this world and impact lives of other people. So, like I said, our vision is very, very important. We meet so many prospective partners who would like to enter developing countries, especially India, and all of them are attracted by the millions of people who need to be skilled. But unless you have the same set of thoughts, the vision, which is aligned to what we are looking at, only then could a successful partnership begin. Second is long term. So again, if you're looking at millions of people to be skilled, certain revenue per training, and you multiply that, it all amounts to millions of dollars. But it's not that easy unless you are willing to collaborate, co-create, and think of long term. Only then possibly the success will be on our way. Invest in partnerships. So we have two of our partners, TR7 Healthcare, Shane, and Silk Education, Sanjeev, with us today. Both of them have been with us for more than a year now, and both of them are looking at a long-term returns rather than short-term returns. Flexible. So when you're catering to a large population, you may not be always able to come out with the typical brick and mortar models which are popular in the developed worlds, but you will have to keep innovating and be flexible in terms of how you want to deliver your content. So e-learning and mobile learning, to our mind, will be the key drivers whenever you want to penetrate the developing nations for skill development. And finally, how do you impact how do you want to analyze the return on investment? Is it the dollars return that you're going to get, or the lives that you're going to impact and enhance? For us, the dollars will certainly come in once you start impacting people's life, once you build a brand which is sustainable, because we call ourselves social entrepreneurs. And social entrepreneur is obviously for-profit organization, but the profits are important to sustain the organization and build long-term impact. So as someone said, you can teach a person to fish, and you can also give a fish to the person. But a social entrepreneur is a person who will not rest unless they have revolutionized the fishing industry. So that's what we are trying to do. These are some of the pictures in terms of what we have been doing, and as you can see, we are trying to impact a large number of lives. And now I'd like to invite Shane to come over and share his thoughts with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Arun, my business partner, CEO and fellow director of TR7 Healthcare India. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome everyone from overseas. It's good to be actually sitting here in my home backyard rather than travelling overseas like I've been the last 6 months or 12 months. Vision, why is it important? It's integral in terms of doing business overseas. India's vision. India's vision is to upskill 500 million people by 2022 and will invest $20 billion into that project. India's vision is they want to be the supply of labour around the world by 2022. With a population of 1.25 billion and 55% of those people being under 25, they're in the box seat to achieve that vision. So I think it's very important from a business point of view, you look at the country that you're going into and their vision and the market that you want to get into. Very important. So in terms of the education and training sector in Australia, this is a lifetime opportunity that will never come this way ever again because of that simple fact. And there's some similar demographics in China, which I've just come from after spending 3 weeks over there. So it's also very important that in terms of the country vision, that the vision that my business, I have 4 companies in West Australia and 1 in India, is that my vision lines up with my partner. So when I sat down with my partner, the first thing I did was had a cup of coffee and asked what his vision was for the group for his business. It was to impact on 100 million people by 2030 and also to enhance people's lives, which is very similar to my vision in terms of actually making a change in the aged care sector, which is in crisis at the moment, not only in Australia, but around the world. I've been in business for 11 years and I've set a vision to actually change the system in the aged care sector and impact on millions and millions of people's lives. And a meeting I had with the Federal Minister last week, presenting a model to actually provide that solution that's finally come. But it's connecting with that vision that we finally had a handshake and we did the deal. If you're relying on business to have a legal document in place, in terms of trust and partnership, it will not work. You must have a shared vision, therefore you're aligned. And next thing also, you're looking at having values being aligned as well. And the most important value, in my opinion, for doing business overseas is respect. You must respect the country that you're going into. You must respect the culture of the country that you're going into. You must respect the customs and the protocol of the country that you're going into. You must respect every individual that you deal with and treat them from a position of empathy where you see the world through their eyes. And also there's commitment and there's passion and also there's fun on the way. And in terms of those values, those core values, with AVTEG they do align. And same with the vision. But also, I must say, to be upfront, you've got to get on with your business partner. If you don't like them, it ain't going to work. So you've got to get on with them, you've got to be able to socialise with them. Good thing with Arun and the team over there love cricket, so we talk about the cows come home and we have a game every now and then. But you've got to get on with your business partner, otherwise it's a waste of time. Now with AVTEG, in particular, there's a great team put together and there's a great opportunity for people in this particular room because India's a big place and I'll tell you what, the first day there I was overwhelmed. So it's good to have a business partner you can trust. There's a lot of work done in terms of government protocols and things like that, so AVTEG have. I did a presentation at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry a month ago, and someone came up to me at the end of the conference and said, you're very lucky that you had a business partner that's based here in Perth. I said, well, look at it this way. Seize that opportunity. Don't go and spend 2 or 3 years in a country trying to build these relationships. Connect with me and my business partners in India and we'll help you to do business in India. And that's save you 2 or 3 years of work. So in terms of having the values and the vision and alignment, it actually is then looking at the investment you're going to be putting into that country. It's not only the capital investment, you have to be prepared to put your own capital into that business. It also, most importantly, is also your human resource capital. You must have backup resources in Australia to support your international operation. If you're trying to do it on your current human resource, it will not work. And I've actually learned that from personal experience and I've restructured my business and businesses to not only help my business operations in Australia, but to grow the business in India. With AVTEG, as I said before, the relationships have been formed and they have great relationships with the India government, so therefore it saved me a lot of work. And I basically have complete trust in my business partner to just keep on following the business plan and making all those things available. Once we have the right vision and everyone's aligned, once we have the right values in place, and I spent a week in India in February. I met Parampreet in February last year, went to China, India in June, set up the business in September, and then here I am sitting in India, my second or third time, on the top of a mountain with my team and with the whole AVTEG group to actually form a shared vision for the future. And that shared vision for the future, in terms of 1.5 million people by 2020, world-class healthcare professionals with a human touch, has stood firm through thick and thin because things get tough on occasions. Go back to the shared vision. Go back to the actual mission and what we're here for. And it is to make the world a better place. So that week on the top of the mountain gave us clarity in terms of where we're going the next 5 years. So with the shared vision and everything in place, we know then that we can actually engage the right people to build this team. And we have to trust those people in these countries to actually fulfil our mission and our goals. And I've found from my own experience that everyone that's come on board is engaged in the vision and with passion, and it's even rolled down through to our students and our nursing assistants, where they're very engaged in the vision and what do we want to do around the world and be a world supplier for people in healthcare. And I must say it is a step-by-step process. It is long-term, it's a marathon, then you run another marathon. I'm fortunate enough that from February I'm in a position now that we have 100 GDAs out there on contract hire in hospitals, but we're aiming for 100,000 by June 2016, and we will achieve that goal, impacting on so many lives. But we've actually, we had a target for a training program to be delivered by February this year. We didn't have it right. We went out, I sent master trainers over there on 2 occasions to train master trainers in India. We then visited hospitals and realised that even our program that had been put in place needed to be changed again and again and again. And also our business model had to be changed. We're looking at franchise alliance partners. Now we're looking at our own centres of excellence, and we're looking at probably a combination of centres of excellence as well as alliance partners. So every week and every month you have to be flexible, you have to be adaptable in terms of your business model, and realise that things are different in other countries to make this thing happen. And it is a long-term project. So I think also I want to make something very important and a distinction in terms of business. How many business entrepreneurs in the room? How many business owners? All had a reason for getting into business. I think the most important reason is you're defining your purpose. And focus on your purpose, and then the vision and the values and your actual achievement in terms of your business will succeed and the money will come. It is the human capital. So the purpose, my purpose, is to change the system and support the elderly and the disadvantaged. My purpose is to help the poor, help people overcome poverty, help people in terms of lack of education in third world countries that have no hope and no future, and give them a hope and future. So therefore, impacting on many people's lives. So that's actually come right through as well. So I want to share with you something that encapsulates everything that I've said in terms of the business and also how it's impacting on someone's life in India.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the true life story of Sonam, who joined TR7 Healthcare India as GDA in July 2014. She is ambitious, determined and passionate to change her life, a good living for herself and her family. Let's hear from her how GDA training, TR7 Healthcare helped her in transforming her life.
मेरा नाम सोनम है। मेरे घर में 6 लोग हैं। मेरे पापा जी एक दुकानदार हैं और मेरी मम्मी घरों का काम करती है। मेरी मम्मी ने बहुत ही दुख झेला है। वो हमें अपने पैरों पे खड़ा करना चाहती थी, इसलिए उन्होंने हमें कैसे भी दुख करके बहुत पढ़ाया। और मेरा भाई भी 11वीं क्लास में पढ़ता है। वो भी पढ़ाई के साथ साथ कुछ काम करता है ताकि हमारे घर की रोजी रोटी चल सके। 12वीं करने के बाद मैं और आगे बढ़ना चाहती थी, पर मेरे घर की स्थिति अच्छी नहीं थी। फिर मेरे को किसी के थ्रू पता चला कि TR7 में ट्रेनिंग दी जा रही है, तो मैंने इस ट्रेनिंग का कोर्स किया। कोर्स करने के बाद मुझे पता चला कि हमारे कंधों पर भी बोझ है, हमें भी किसी के प्रति सोच बदलनी चाहिए और कुछ अच्छा करना चाहिए औरों के लिए। TR7 की ट्रेनिंग के बाद मेरी एक ज़िंदगी को नई राह मिली, जिसके लिए मैं TR7 को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ।
Changed her life. Never worked in a hospital before, never worked before. Some of these people have come from villages with no hope and no future. They've been given training to a world-class standard change their life for not only their family life, but also you can see in this particular example where they're actively engaged in terms of general duty system roles in India. With a human touch, very important. And the blue uniforms, the blue army, has had an impact on that hospital. We were now doing a whole manning review for that hospital. There's the first 12 of our students, magnificent people. And that's me with the tie on again. You matter, we care. That's our motto. We live by that. And that's transcribed all throughout the TR7 group. Thank you for that video. So I'd like to hand over to Mr. Sanjeev Grill about the environment.
Great. Thank you, everybody. And I must say, I started my journey in Australia actually in 1997 in Perth, right opposite the Wacker, 119 Plain Street. And a couple of years back, I brought my wife and my 2 kids and let me show you where I started my journey in Australia. I got there, it was actually a 15-story apartment. So great development in Perth since the last 17 years. We are talking about collaboration, we are talking about partnership, and I think I'm the perfect product of that. I'm 34 this year, 17 years in India and 17 years in Australia. So I think I've got a good partnership model going in my head already. So let me tell you what did we see in India. It's a partnership. Okay, so before we actually decide to go to India, I actually visited in 2011, 2012, China, Sri Lanka, and India. And the reason why I'm speaking about, I suppose, the environment is you need to understand your vision, aligned with your partner vision, but also look at the environment that gives you the faster result with minimum investment. So what we did before initially look at the market scale, the market need and scale. So obviously hospitality is something that we specialize in. I started hospitality here, studied and worked in Open Park Hyatt Hotel in Melbourne, worked at the Windsor Hotel. So that's something we very, very specialize in. And in India, it's a great service. You've probably seen the service is exceptional there. But what's lacking in the market, or the need of the market, is the technical skills. Now a lot of Western countries are there. They expect to sit in Mumbai having a nice truffle pasta. They want that taste, but in the local environment. A lot of people are working there, a lot of staff are working there. So we saw a need of giving those staff, upskilling them into an international program, doing some master classes, also scaling up different verticals of skills in India. So that's the first reason. Obviously the scale, where you're going to get more scale apart from India. The government policies, you need to understand what's happening in the local environment. So in Australia, as you know, in the last few years, it's been really down for international markets. So even the government was sort of approaching offshore, do offshore. So that's a domestic policy really pushing out for. So there's another need we looked at. But also, India is a great timing now for skill development. First time in the history of India, we have a Minister for Skill Development. Narendra Modi, the new Prime Minister, within a week of him being in power, have announced that. So that's a great time, and a lot of investments going in. I won't talk about numbers, but I think we heard a lot of numbers now. So there's a lot of opportunities there as well. Sorry, I'm used to clicking to the... Now, other thing is, I'm sure all the business owners here are running RTOs or consultings or resource companies look at diversity. So obviously, we looked at that as well. We're not going to just do domestic training in Victoria, WA, or nationally New South Wales. We look at international model, we look at offshore model. So our model in Silk Education Training, we're looking at 40% of government funding training, 30% of corporate fee-for-service training, and 30% is our international offshore. So that's where we actually have that 30% chunk of our market going for that. So internationally, we are going through Cricos, but also we're starting off offshore first. And to build a brand. So rather than doing the other way around, we actually decided to do offshore for 2 years ago, and now we've got enough student numbers, enough branding, very quickly we can bring some students here as well. So that will actually help our diversification model. And obviously social impact. I think we heard about today, we can see the power of that. So, you know, it's finding the purpose and understanding what can you do, you skill people and the impact that makes, not only within your business P&L, but also in purpose, people's life, people's family. So that's another alignment that we saw in AVTEG. And the reason I suppose we went with AVTEG, I mean, I was born in India, I've been there 17 years, so, but what AVTEG has done, what I've met Parampreet about 2 years ago, is all the legwork that I can already see that's going to happen. Before you do anything in India, let me tell you, you need at least 12 months of talking to different departments, different offices, going to this body, that body. So AVTEG has done that for us already. So when we do the partnership, they already tell us, no, this department is closing, this is going to open up now, this is the new minister now. So that gives you a very fast laneway of going to a new country. And obviously someone who actually understands the local Australian qualification system, that's another benefit of having to work with AVTEG. It's not another offshore company for me to educate them, you know, no, AQF 3 is this, and the skill set should be this level. That's actually an exception. It's actually understood that, okay, we're going to do level 3 qualification, this is where it needs to be pitched at. So that's another benefit that we saw. So we looked at different models, as Shane mentioned as well. Initially we, you know, what we started in 2012 August is very different than we're doing now. There's a constant review of business models. It's actually adapting our models to suit the needs. So what we're currently doing is we're doing different verticals. So we obviously have lower end market where we're doing a short program for about 4 weeks and giving them a single skill set. So you'll hear about India all about low cost, big volume. Well, there are big volumes, but we don't expect you to deliver the whole qualification in 4 weeks. So only thing you can probably do that in 4 weeks is one skill set, either as a housekeeper, or as a bar attender, or an F&B attendant. So we tapped on that market, and we doing, I'll show you some photos of that, how we're making impact. That's the one vertical we're targeting. The other vertical we're targeting is the pathway programs. Obviously doing a qualification in India, and the students coming over to Australia doing a pathway universities. The other thing we're looking at international, I suppose, industry professionals. So we're sending our master qualified trainers or chefs to go into 5-star hotels. We actually got a good endorsement with the Leela Hotel Group in India. Probably they call themselves a 6-star properties, Hyatt Group. So we're actually going in there, also doing some training. So it's not just one market you target. You know, you got to target this way, so you actually go faster. So that's what we have done, and I'm quite happy with the progress where we're going. The other example I can give you is the perfect collaboration. So Silk Education Training with AVTEG. Now we are in-country partner of Victoria University. So that's for your skill assessments for hospitality. So it's just looking at the opportunity. Sometimes we never discussed that in the business plan. That was not a part of the plan. But it's being open to the opportunity, looking at opportunity, and once you trust your partner, opening up those other gates for them. So rather than me going to set up an office in India, spending so much money in the real estate, it's not cheap, let me tell you. My office in North Melbourne is pretty competitive to price we pay in Gurgaon in India. So that's another benefit of working with a partner there. And we are now in-country partner with Uni for any skill assessments. So any chef from India who needs to now do the skill assessment, they come to our office in Gurgaon with AVTEG and Silk. So that's the other opportunity you might find as you go along, and you know, keeping an eye for that. Customization program, obviously, as Shane mentioned, it'll be constant, it'll be required all the time, but you'll see the benefits. Once you've done one program, it becomes, I suppose, applicable to 5,000 or 10,000 students. Building a low-cost, high-scale model, I've discussed on that. I'm just cautious about time, so I'll push along. And India, obviously, is a marathon. So if you are looking at a project or India as a one transaction, as a one profitability on one project, it will not work. Let me tell you right now. So you got to look at the bigger picture. It is a bit of patience. We've been at it for what, 2 years now. We are seeing results. That's a really good, and we also got a really good branding now. Just quickly, a recent program we did with JCRE, AVTEG and Silk for hospitality. We developed a program for about a month, for a week, and already 50% of students in Manipur have got jobs in not a small cafe, a restaurant, and a 5-star properties. And the remaining 50%, the issue with those guys is it's mobilization. So they're currently looking at moving from Manipur to other cities of India, Goa or Bangalore. So they're actually in the transitioning as well. So it's a very, I suppose, empowering for us and very satisfying for us to see what is the impact we can make in a short program. So thank you for the opportunity to, and thank you for listening to me. Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed, a little bit of journey from various presenters, and I'm sure you may have a few questions. Just cautious of time, I would like your questions. Of course, we would love to answer. If you have any questions, please come and see us during the lunch break. Any most urgent, important questions? Someone just want to quickly one question, and the rest we can take later. Okay, good. Thank you, everyone. We'll just spend another 4 to 5 minutes with you, just for Arun to quickly discuss what are the opportunities in India. You can collaborate with us, you can go on your own, but these are some of the most important opportunities from our experience. I think you definitely should look into and explore. Thank you.
Thank you, Varun. So, Sanjeev already talked about the new Prime Minister and his focus on skill development. So, obviously he's a man of action, unlike the previous regime, and I think he means business. So, I talked about e-learning opportunities. It's a 4 billion opportunity currently in India, the online education market. And one of the NSDC partners, he started a free certification program on their website for banking financial services. In the first 6 months, they got 150,000 registered users. And in the 6th month, they launched a paid certification program for the next level of certification, varying from $50 to $100 each. And in the first month, they had 2% conversion, which means 3,000 people went for minimum $50 of certification, which translates into $150,000. So that's the kind of innovation one is talking about. Last year, NSDC and its partners skilled 1.1 million people. This year, their target is 3.3 million. If you look at other agencies which are involved in skill development, that represents a huge opportunity in terms of trainers who would be required for skill development. RPL, again, the National Skill Development Agency, has come out with guidelines for recognition of prior learning, and with only less than 10% people having formal qualification, this could be a big area as well. More than 65% of our population lives in villages who primarily depend on agriculture, poultry, fishing, and dairy, as well as entrepreneurship. And if we can come out with interventions in these areas, again, it will create a huge impact. Upskilling is another area. We worked with one of the largest construction companies in the country to upskill their supervisors, and that program has been really appreciated, and we see a lot of such opportunities going forward. People with special needs. There are over 70 million people who can be helped through these skill development programs. If there are RTOs who have specialized skill development programs for people with special needs, I think that is something which both the government and the corporates will be happy to fund through their CSR programs. And finally, we see a huge opportunity in creating centers of excellence. As they say, the proof of the pudding is in its eating. So if we can set up world-class delivery centers where we skill people which are lapped up and in high demand by the industry, that will really create a huge effect. And we're talking about 29 states where one can set up these centers of excellence. So in summary, social impact is one of the primary reasons why you should align with us. Innovation and delivery models is another area, especially e-learning, like I said, is huge. Rural population is another area, like I said. This is something which Shane touched upon. There's an aging population in most of the developed countries around the world. And if you can skill people who cater to these aging population in the developed countries, whether it is healthcare, aged care, or plumbers or electricians, that could be another significant area. And like I said, centers of excellence. Before I end up, do I have time for a short story? 1 minute? Okay. So I'll talk about the story of this gentleman. He's a social worker in New York. And he would normally take a subway and go to his favorite diners for dinner. One day when he was going to the diners, he was confronted by a young man with a knife who wanted his wallet. Julio gave his wallet to the person. When the person was running away, he said, "Hey, you forgot something." The boy was startled and came back. He said, "If you're going to be robbing people entire night, it's a cold night. Why don't you take my jacket?" And Julio gave his jacket to the person. Then he says, "Are you hungry? Would you like to come with me for dinner?" And surprisingly, the young boy accepted. They both go to the diners. Julio obviously is a regular person, so everyone, right from manager to the waiters to the dishwashers, he greets everyone very nicely. And this person asks, "Julio, how come you're so nice to everyone?" He says, "I was taught that way." "Weren't you taught?" He says, "I was taught, but I never seen people practicing it." So after the dinner, Julio says, "I would like to treat you for dinner, but obviously I don't have my wallet." So the person sheepishly slides the wallet across the table, and Julio says, "I have one more favor to ask of you. Can you hand over the knife to me?" And the person hands over the knife. So with compassion, not only can you change people's heart, but you can impact people's lives. And finally, if I was Julio, maybe I would have carried this story forward. I would have asked this person, what is the skills you are good at? What would you like to do? How can we create livelihood for you so that you don't have to rob people again? Mahatma Gandhi said, there's enough in this world for everyone's need, not for everyone's greed. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience listening. May your dreams come true, and God bless you all. Thank you.